All right. So the first algo we're going to do is called zip arrays into map. So what we call in Python a dictionary, in Ruby it's called a hash. In JavaScript, it has the incredibly unfortunate name of an object, but it's basically the generic term is an associative array, right? So we have arrays and we have associative arrays. An array is like, how do we access, if we're looking at keys one, how would I get ABC? Like if I wanted to just console log the string ABC.
Console log keys 1 0.
Yeah. Keys one, sub zero or square bracket zero or index zero, right? That'll print out ABC. So that's a plain array, right? So we grab the values by its numerical index, right? What if, well, our expected output is what is called an associative array, right? So instead of having number indexes, we have actual, they're technically symbols, but they are ways of referencing the value associated with that more human friendly, readable, memorable key, right? So ABC and 42 isn't really useful, but if it were something like name, Malo, age, 26, cool guy, true, right? So if we want to keep track of data that has meaning, it's not just a list of data, we use an associative array. Okay, so for this, we are given two arrays and we want to create an associative array, also known as a hash map, an object, a dictionary, hash, whatever the language calls it. Everybody seems to come up with cute little names for them. Okay. So the first example we want to get to work is if we have an array that's ABC, 3, and yo, and a second array that's 42, what's up, and true, we want to create a JavaScript object, aka an associative array, with the key of ABC and a value of 42, a key of 3 and a value of what's up, a key of yo and a value of true. Okay? Make sense?
Lost. Can you
Oh,
repeat
no.
that?
Yeah. So basically, we're taking two arrays
Okay.
and we want to take the values of the first array
Uh-huh.
and set them as the keys on our object.
Oh, okay, okay. And then the second array is gonna be the values.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
Yep.
Cool, cool. Gotcha. I follow now.
Okay, cool. So in this case, if we're given two empty arrays, we're supposed to return an empty object. Okay. So our input is what? What are the parameter? What are these parameters? What data types?
Tuples?
Not tuples.
Are they primitive data types?
They're not primitive, no.
Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Arrays.
Arrays, yeah, exactly. So the arrays that we're going to test is keys one, vals one, keys two, vals two. So if we want to run the test on this, we're going to invoke our function, zip arrays into map, and we're going to pass in keys one, keys one, vals one, and keys two, vals two. Okay. And so when we invoke this function, we should get this returned, right? We should get this object back. When we invoke this function, we should get an empty object back. Okay. Make sense? Cool. The other one is we want to invert a hash. So again, we're dealing with a JavaScript object. Let me save this. We get an object with a key of name, a value of Zaphoid, a key of charm, a value of high, a key of morals, a value of dicey. And the object is to take the keys and values in the object and just switch them. Okay, so we want to, if we get this object with these keys and values, we want to return it with the position switched. So we want the key in the returned object to be the value in the first object. So we're basically switching Zaphoid and name, switching high and charm, switching dicey and morals. Okay. Okay, so the answer to this one is 42. If anybody gets that, you know where this is from. Okay, so what is our input? What is obj?
One.
An object.
It's an object, right? So we're taking this in as our parameter or as our argument, and what are we returning?
An object.
An object, right? So we take an object in, return an object. Okay. So I forgot to mention this. What about? So if you're given this as a algorithm for an interview, you want to come up with edge cases, right? So we want to we take in two arrays. The first array is the keys. The second array is the values. Can anybody think of an edge case? Like what could go wrong? What would be a situation?
They're not the same length.
Perfect. It's like you're reading my mind. Yeah. What if we get two arrays that are different length? What do we do? Right? So me being, I guess, the interviewer in the situation, I'm going to reply, you don't need to worry about that. You will always get two arrays that are the same length. Okay. Anything else? I can't think of anything else. I'm sure there's something else, but I mean, the other thing I could think, this may be an edge case, right? You could say, what do I do with empty arrays? Right? And then the answer would be just return an empty object. Cool. Any questions? All right. So let me stop sharing, pause recording. All right. Who would like to share their solution to the first one, which was, what was it? Zip arrays into hash. Let's do that one first. Now's your chance to practice. You're going to have to do this in front of somebody who's dangling a job in front of your nose. You might as well do it now.
That sounds so harsh.
Well, so like this is, I know it's nerve-wracking. I get it. I'm the most introverted person on the planet and I am nervous every morning, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. So being a little bit uncomfortable now, it'll save you being uncomfortable later. So you still be uncomfortable, but you at least you have the experience.
Does somebody want to talk it through? And I'll share my screen.
That's a good idea. Anybody in Breakfast with Algos want to talk it through?
Oh man, I can try.
Oh, Joan does it every day. Joan's gonna get the job, man. I'm telling you. Cool. All right. Go. So Mala, go ahead and share your screen.
Okay.
Joan, walk us through it.
Which one, zips or invert hash?
The zip, that one.
Was it zip? Okay. All right, where is okay, so the function line 29 through 35, that's the right one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we created a function here, zip arrays into map that passes the keys and the values. So what we did first on line 30 is we created a variable to store the inverted items. So then we created on line 31, we created a for loop that's gonna go through each key in the is it dictionary? So in this case, our variable is I, and we use I guess a method, or we call it on line 32 by using new object. So new object keys at the index I, we set that to values at index I. So that will push the values into our variable 30, and then we return that variable new object on line 35, and we get the key value pairs.
Cool. And we got 3 what's up, ABC 42, and yo is true. Sweet. Any questions for, let's call it Team Tyler? Not that I did anything. Cool. Thank you, Malo, for sharing. Thank you, Joan, for walking us through it. Anybody have a different solution they would like to share? That one was pretty straightforward, I think. So would anybody like to share their inverted hash?
I'll do my best to walk you through it, Malo, if you want.
That
So obviously in this one, we're trying to swap the key and value pairs. So it already gave us the function on line 21. Invert object, passing an object. We made a constant variable of an empty object, new object, and then a for loop, basically iterating through that object. I guess that's how you iterate through an object.
Mhm.
We had to look that one up. So then here we set the temp variable equal to the key, and then swap the key and the value pairs and return the new object.
Very nice. And go ahead and run it. Let's show it works. And there we go. So that first one was just the console log we did just to figure out what was going on. And
Yeah.
Yep, very nice. Any questions for Zach Zach, I guess.
I have a question about objects that is not about this, that I think might be JavaScript objects starting to click for me.
Okay.
So if I want to get the value, then I need to do object square brackets and then the key.
Yes. Yeah. The syntax is very similar to Python. The only difference is JavaScript allows you to, you don't have to use a string. You can just say the name of a key.
Yeah, Dan, and
But I
if
could
you
theoretically get the key itself. If I want the key itself, then when I'm looping through my object, I just tell it get the key or whatever variable. The variable that I assign to it is going to be looking at the key. So I can get that key by
So at least here we had it as the key is just the word property.
yeah. So
which is probably a bad
value.
So when you put in property,
object.
So if you just did like console log property, it's gonna console log the key.
In this situation, yeah, yeah.
Um, so the key kind of stands alone, and the value is within the object at key.
Yes, yeah.
All right.
And yeah, so the wording they give of the variable. So there's two ways to reference it. People say property value or key value. So the fact that they use the word property is it's so you want to think property value, property and key are synonymous, and the value is what is paired with key/property. Yeah,
I think
So
I'm
it's-
about 20% closer to understanding.
So you said,
That's
you
good.
said property and key are more or less the same thing.
Yes, yeah. So property is just just to be confusing. People use different terminology, right? So it's the key value. It's what comes on the left is the key/property. What it's associated with is, I don't know if anybody ever uses another term other than value. It's like the value is what is being stored under the key.
So in this example, how do we even call it like the value? How we call in the value was by using property,
Uh-huh.
which just makes sense.
Yeah.
Property is the same as the key, or is
Right.
it the key value pair?
Joan, because it's the property at object. So it's the value portion of it is tied to the key portion of it. So it's I don't know how to explain it. Sorry.
So
Okay.
would it be easier if we just changed this? You said it could be anything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just change it to
So,
something.
so here we go. Here's my physical analogy for the day. The object is an apartment building, and the
Okay.
apartment building has apartments
Yes.
that are called different things.
Yes.
So when you're looking at the architecture of the apartment building, you're looking at the apartments.
Right.
Those apartments can have different residents, and the residents can change.
Yes.
So I look at the apartment and then the resident of the apartment. Sorry, that last bit confused it. I know what I meant. Ignore that I said that.
Yeah, I see where you're going
Um,
with it. Yeah, so the apartments
yeah.
are the keys, the values are whatever happens to reside in that apartment.
So when
Right.
I'm just walking down the hall in the apartment building, what I'm seeing is a bunch of keys, is a bunch of apartment numbers,
Yeah.
or apartment names.
Right.
But then I have to actually open the door to see who lives there.
Right.
I have to
Exactly. Yeah.
look into the. Okay.
Yeah.
5% closer.
Yep.
We're getting there. One of these days.
And Ruben, I think, thinks that we should call something Biggie Smalls instead.
Ruben?
Everything.
Something, nothing,
That's our
everything.
universal variable.
All right, let's go ahead and stop there. Thank you guys for sharing. Let me find this